Stuart Housley, where do I begin? To me, definitely one of Yeovil's finest wingers they've ever had, and certainly the legendary status applies to him.
I wanted to play for Stu. I wanted to be in the teams that he managed.
Yeah, I always said he was the life and soul of the party, and no Stuart, no party.
Just heard that Paddy and Kevin are going to be on Sky doing a cooking programme. I can't believe it, because they couldn't cook between them. The only thing they can cook is a fried egg.
I'm just proud of everybody that's been around, yourself including Stuart.
Some of the jokes and tricks that Stu got up to were unbelievable.
In 1969, Yeovil Town manager Mike Hughes wanted to freshen up his squad. One of his first signings was youngster Stuart Housley from Grimsby Town. He then went on to have a 30-year association with the club, which involved stints as a player, youth team manager, and various roles as part of the backroom staff. Prior to joining Yeovil, Housley had spent time at Leeds United and Doncaster Rovers schoolboys before making his league debut for Grimsby Town. He played 34 times for Grimsby Town, scoring 3 goals. However, it was Housley's time spent at Yeovil Town where he will be best remembered. For Yeovil, he played 399 games, scoring a total of 60 goals across 2 stints. One of his best games for Yeovil Town came in the 1970-71 season in the FA Cup away against Bournemouth. He has set up the goal in a 1-0 win and was named man of the match. After the game, Bournemouth tried to sign him, however did not meet Yeovil's evaluation of the player. After beating Bournemouth, Yeovil faced Arsenal. They lost 3-0 and Arsenal went on to win the FA Cup that year. One of Stuart's former teammates and best friends, John Clancy, who also joined Yeovil in the summer of 1969, will now speak about what Stuart was like as a player and as a person.
I first met Stuart up in Bradford when I was playing for Bradford Park Avenue and Stuart was playing for Grimsby. We drew 1-1, that was in 1968 in the old 4th Division. I remember seeing Stu running down the wing with his curly hair, tricky and fast. At the end of the game I shook his hand and thought that was that. Didn't really expect to see him again, but a year later, due to Mike Hughes signing me for Yeovil, we met up again and that started the friendship 52 years. We've never had a cross word. And at Yeovil, we started a relationship on the field with Stuart on the right wing and me on the left wing, which went on for about 5 years and was probably the happiest time of my football career. We had a really good team at Yeovil. And we weren't just friends on the field because our wives, Christina and Margaret, came from up north, Margaret Yorkshire, Christina from Lincolnshire, and they both got on like a house on fire. So we ended up going on family holidays down to Cornwall and Butlins in Minehead. And some of the jokes and tricks that Stu got up to were unbelievable. They used to have me rolling over in pains in my stomach, tears coming down my eyes. He was such a funny fella. He was so competitive as well. Any sports with a racket, badminton, squash, tennis, table tennis, he'd always give me a good hiding. He was brilliant at those sorts of games. It was only later on in life when we started playing chess, snooker and bowling that I began to come into my own a little bit. He's so generous, and the time he spent bringing on the kids and bringing them through the academy at Yeovil, it made me feel guilty because I didn't really ever put much back into the game once I retired. But Stuart definitely did and stayed at Yeovil for about another 30 years, just in the backroom staff from when Yeovil went from the National League right up to the Championship, and he was doing a great job. I remember on my 50th birthday, I was playing snooker with a friend, and all of a sudden the door burst open. Terry Cotton and Stu came running in. Stu had this red book under the arm, and he said, "John Clancy, this is your life." He was brilliant, and he took me up the football club, and we had a great night up there. There was loads of people that I met. It was just a big surprise to me, but that's the sort of bloke he was. He'd do anything for anybody. If I ever wanted anything, I'd just give him a call, and he knew someone who could get it for me at a reasonable price.
As John just mentioned, Stuart spent a lot of time as a youth team coach. I will now speak to two of his former players who had various different careers in their life.
Stuart Housley, where do I begin? To me, definitely one of Yeovil's finest wingers they've ever had, and certainly the legendary status applies to him. Apart from my late dad, he was one of my biggest influences in my footballing career. Joined up with Stuart Western Sports, where his management and coaching side was still to this day one of the finest I've ever come across in football. He made it so enjoyable, fun, like his little pranks, and certainly after football, his off-the-field entertainment, his famous karaoke's and discos will go down in living memory for me. On the footballing side again, he certainly didn't get the recognition he deserved. Thousands of kids have gone through his coaching, Green Machines, academies at Yeovil and Westlands, and quite a lot of players have gone on to higher standards, and like myself, a few have gone on to pro football. And certainly on my league debut, one of the persons I looked round and seen in the stand was Stu with a big grin on his face. So I'll always be indebted to Stuart. I'll also remember Stuart as probably one of life's lovable and fantastic characters to me.
Free football it was at college. I was at college, but I was actually playing for Chard at the time, and he used to take our training at college, so he asked me to go to the under-18s. So I had a friendly, I remember actually, it was in Martock. We had a friendly against their men's team, and we were obviously under-18s. It was a pre-season friendly up at Martock Rec. And I got there and I played and I'd done all right, so he wanted to sign me, so I played for them, and we had a full season there with him, and we won the league with like 10 points clear. We had a hell of a side, and I trained a lot with him at college as well, because I was at college at the time, so he would take our training at college through the week as well, and then I'd have training Thursday nights up at Yeovil with him, and then I'd play for him Saturday morning, so he was almost like a full-time coach for us at the time. But yeah, we had a real good side. He had us flying that year. Oh, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. He didn't have to say too much with me really. He just knew how to get the best out of me when I was playing. I don't know how really, because people who know me I had a bit of a bad attitude in football. My mouth used to get me into too much trouble, but I never used to get in trouble for him. To be honest, when I was playing, I don't know what it was, because he didn't used to say a lot, but he'd know how to get me going and playing. So that's what I mean. That's probably why he was so good at what he done, because he didn't have to do too much to get the best out of people. But I know he's made some careers for some lads. Like Chris Will, he was our goalie at the time. He's played for Leicester. He's won the Premiership and everything with Leicester. Sure, he was there when they won it. Chris Giles, he played professional football. He's helped a lot of people. Pardon? because my dad used to come to the games, but Stu's quality, because if we were playing away, he'd let my old man come on the minibus with us. He was like, he was brilliant. He just had it all. He just had a bit of laugh and jokes, and he just talked to you about anything. But then in the same conversation, you'd be talking serious about football, and that's what I mean. I think it was probably because I enjoyed playing for him so much. We'd done so well, because we honestly, I can't explain how good our under-18s team was. But we were all at college together, so we were all together all the time. But he would have told you our under-18 side was probably one of the best under-18 side he had. But yeah, no bad memories of and I don't have any bad memories of him having a go, me arguing with him, or probably did, because I was a bit of a idiot with football at times, but I definitely played my best football for him, and I managed to get training full-time. Well, I was full-time training with the first team the season after. He got me training, it was when Yeovil first went full-time, and he had me training there with the first team for a while. So then we sort of drifted apart, and I ended up going to play men's football with other teams, and then but then he used to come to me and always get his hair cut. That's when I met this lad here as well. Yeah. Yeah. I used to see him all the time, because my old shop was round by Domino's, opposite Domino's, so he used to walk in the town. Once a week I'd see him, and he'd always stop in and say hello. And then, you must have been, how old are you now? 18. 18 now, so you would have been like 8, 9? Yeah, when I first sort of started cutting your hair, and he used to bring you in, didn't he? Yeah. So, yeah, I've always stayed in contact with him, and he'd turn up to some games that I'd play in. I remember playing out Dorchester. When I was at Dorchester, I'd look up, he sat in the stand, not to watch me, just to watch games, but it was always nice to see. And it must have been good for him to see people doing well after people he's coached as well. So.
That's all from me. Thank you for your time.
Top man, mate. Haircut for you.
During Stuart's time at Yeovil, one of the managers who he spent a lot of time with was Gary Johnson. Gary Johnson is probably the most successful manager in Yeovil Town's history, as he guided them to the Football League for the first time in 2003, and a decade later, in 2013, guided Yeovil Town all the way to the Championship, the highest point in the football pyramid that they have reached. I had the privilege of speaking to him and asking what Stuart was like as part of his backroom staff. When I say the name Stuart Housley to you, what comes to your mind straight away?
Well, you have to smile for a start, as me and you just did. He was. I always said he was the life and soul of the party, and no Stuart, no party. Because honestly, he had an abundance of entertaining things that he could do. He was a disc jockey, he was a comedian, he was a Uri Geller. He had more, tricks than Uri Geller, and he could tell a bad joke and you had to laugh. So he was just a fantastic fella to be around, and it was a great pleasure for me as the manager of Yeovil Town Football Club. He was already there, to have such a close friend and confidant in Stuart. So that's sort of him in a nutshell.
What's the funniest thing that he ever did? What's the first thing that comes to your mind that just made you laugh?
Well, funny enough, there's lots of things that he did that would make you laugh. But the one thing that was a running joke with the club is that whenever I did a TV interview, either before the game or after the game or during the game, he always seemed to be behind me and on the camera. So he always found a way to get himself in the picture. And so there was never, you won't see many interviews of me over the years at Yeovil without Stuart's head behind me, often making a silly face or something, or just walking past, like, you know. So that's the thing that, you know, sticks out. Of course, the other thing was the time we spent together, putting a video together of Yeovil's exploits and success. It was a fly on the wall documentary, and so obviously Stewie and myself were very close during that time, and he did a fantastic job as a director of this video that we made. 3 hours long it was, probably the longest ever. But it gave the story of our successful season, our promotion season, and he worked very hard at that, very, very hard, and done a great job. And it's out there for all to see. It's called the Yeovil Way, and you know, Stuart put it together, which was fantastic.
That documentary, did you ask him to make that?
Yeah, I did. It was, I think we had a few games to go, and I thought it would be a good idea. It's the first one. Every promotion I've had since, which is like, I think 3 or 4, I've always done a video. So it's always good to keep, and it always makes the boys, the players, feel that because they know that we made that Yeovil Way when Yeovil were successful. It gives the boys the confidence, and they knew that it'll be there forever. So actually, they wanted to get their promotion so that they could have the fun and look back at it all the time. So it gave that extra little bit of 5 or 10% for the boys to want to become successful, and so that definitely helped.
Yeah, so obviously he made that documentary. When he was filming it, what was he like with not only you but the players as well? How did sort of they react to it?
Yeah, well, it was brilliant, because sometimes it was him involved, i.e. the players were bantering him. I remember he was filming us once in the dressing room, and I don't know if you will remember, but your granddad had a little ponytail, didn't he? It wasn't a proper ponytail.
It wasn't great, was it?
And the lads, while he was filming, they said, "Stu, we got to get rid of that, mate." So he still was filming while they were cutting off his little ponytail that he had, and he didn't bat an eyelid. As it went on, you could see that people got used to it. You know, he wasn't always right in your face. He was very clever in knowing when to be just outside the picture, or just outside the periphery of people, so that he could video people without them knowing. And he did a lot of interviews. He did a lot of fun things with the players. It was just everything. And he made a fantastic director of a video film that will be around for a long time.
So we've touched on his funny side, what he was like in that sense. But when it got serious, and when, say after a defeat, you need to be serious, you can't be joking around. What was he like in that situation to you as the manager?
Well, he was, a great friend. As I've used confidant before. He was a person that could, if I was the motivator, he was the motivator of the motivator. And his way. And if you were feeling down, he had a way of not being silly with you, but giving you back that confidence just by a few words he's saying. He's telling you, how good it's been and unlucky and this, just without you saying, you sure, Stuart, we just got beat 7-0 there and you're trying to make me smile. But he was, he knew the game. He was a good footballer himself, as you know. I don't know whether there's any videos in that day, in those days.
There's one actually that I found.
Brilliant. And he was a great little winger. And you could see even the tricks that he had, not only the Yuri Geller tricks, but tricks with the football. And you could see even at an age where he retired, that he still had that touch. And he was real good fun. And but he was he could put me right pretty quick. You know, you always get disappointed after a game anyway, but he sort of had a way about him that you know, would make me feel different, let's say, and feel better after a defeat. And then, you know, if you won, which we did more than we lost, then he can make you feel like $1 million. And you know, it'd always be very much in my memory.
One of my memories I have, I'm not sure how well you'll remember it, but he did the soccer schools. And when I was little, and one of the things he would do is he would get you and all the players in, you know, once during that time just to come say hello, take pictures. And as a kid, like I was, that was great because, you know, you were the manager, these are all the players. What was that like for you? Was that all his idea to get you lot in?
Yeah, listen, you know, he used to tell me to jump off a 40-foot cliff because it will help me, and or you know, you would trust him, and so it was a good thing to do anyway. Because Stewie, at the time when I first went there, the first spell, he was obviously in charge of the community, wasn't he? The community coach on the AstroTurf just outside the ground, and we always, anything he asked me or the players to do, you couldn't refuse. You know, he'd done so much for us. We was always wanting to give things back to him, and the kids really enjoyed, as you say, those sessions, and that's another memory, of course, him coaching the youngsters. He was a good coach, actually, very good coach. We used to watch him, and you know, he could liven a player up, or you know, he could chastise him without making him cry. Yeah, I mean, he could have probably been a manager or a coach in his own right, really. But you know, he stuck with me, and you know, we had a very successful partnership, I suppose you could say, together.
I think that's it from me. Thank you a lot for doing this. I really appreciate it.
No problem, mate. No
Cheers.
problem. He'd be very proud of you, mate, doing something like this for him.
Good luck for the rest of the season.
Cheers, Romy.
And
Cheers.
see you later.
See you, mate. All the best.
Just going to talk to the three wise men.
All right, Stu, come do it.
What's it look like?
Very red, green, pitch is green, stadium's red.
Quite big as well, isn't it?
Very big, yeah.
Is it impressive, Sam?
Gav was just telling me that they built it so if the club progresses, they can expand the stadium even further.
Big club though, isn't they?
Yeah.
Who plays it?
Wembley.
The Wembleys.
Yeah.
They're a good side though, right?
They can do the capacity up to 80.
Can they?
80,000 if they get behind.
How many seats do you reckon are in it?
There's a few, isn't there? A couple of thousand.
Who can?
Wembley.
Wembley FC. The Wembleys.
I actually believe it. I thought, what the hell? What the hell are you on about?
Cameraman's on drugs, cut.